Hello, this is a very basic Linkit tutorial. Just kind of giving you all the basic tools that you'll need to log into Linkit if you haven't done that yet, to assign your test, to grade your test, and then a few other additions for those who ask. So I just want to run through the list of what I'm going to go through so that you kind of have an idea of the order that I'll go in case you want to skip ahead because you already know this. So I'm going to talk about the way that a teacher should log in. I'll show you how to assign tests. I'll show you how to change the test preferences and kind of highlight the most important or relevant preferences for most of us. I'll talk about how the students should log in. I'll go through briefly some of how you grade tests. And then a little more advanced is those who wanted to edit tests. There were a few people who didn't want to give the exact same test. Either they need to modify it for special ed or something like that. So I'll show you how to do that. And then I'll briefly show you the basic reports that you can see after your tests have been graded. Okay, so I'm going to go right into Linkit. Okay, so your teacher login, all you're doing is typing in Piners. You see that it's already there, .linkit.com. So go into piners.linkit.com and you will be able to sign in with Google. Okay, so I'm just signing in with Google. Okay, same account, school Lakewood Piners account, and now I'm in. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to look at is how to assign a test. Okay, so up on top you see home, reporting, intervention manager, test design. Okay, so over here is online testing. So we're mostly going to work in online testing. The first tab on the left is assign online test. So here's where we're going to assign our test. You'll need to choose your grade. So our finals, or midterms if you're a full year, are under 9 to 12. So you'll select 9 to 12, select your subject. Okay, so on math, so I'll go to math, and it's in 21, 22, grade 9 to 12. I believe in all the other ones it also says 21, 22. Let's try another one. So if we go to language arts, I believe that's the one that's still not there, so you'll have to wait on that. But say we go to studies, social studies. Okay, you'll select your test. You are able to preview your test. Okay, so right here you can preview the test. You can see how your students would see it. Okay, so this is the view that your student would get. Okay, you can click begin, you can go through it, you can kind of see what tools are there and just double check with yours that everything looks good and there are no mistakes. Okay, so that's how you would preview the test. You preview it by going to over here, your test assignment. Okay, so back to the test assignment. Once I've selected my grade, my subject, the bank, and the test, I'm ready to assign the test. Before I assign the test, I would like to go down here where it says preferences in effect. Okay, I select preferences in effect, and this tells me all of the preferences that are currently in effect. All the way at the bottom, I see change. So if I wanted, I can change the preferences for this test. Okay, so for example, this is one that I really like, must answer all questions. I would turn that on. So that the students will get a message before they submit the test saying that they didn't they didn't complete everything. Moving down, I would definitely turn this on down here, hide correct answers and grading results and student review. I always turn that feature on because I don't want the students to see what the answers were if I'm about to give the same test in the next class. So I don't turn that feature on. Then we have security and privacy. So under security and privacy, you could shuffle your questions if you would like. In the math department, I do not because we give them a hard copy to write on while they're working. But in other subjects, you may want to shuffle the questions, shuffle the multiple choice answers. Then there's full screen browser mode. So two things, full screen browser mode and then browser lockdown mode over here. Okay, so full screen browser mode just gives the students the view of the full screen for their test, but they still could kind of get out of there and get to other things. Browser lockdown mode is the one that really locks them out of the rest of the computer. So what happens is on our Chromebooks, we have an app. Okay, so if you go to if you open a Chromebook and you look at the bottom where the waffle with the apps, the same way we get onto Test Nav when we give state tests, right over there, there's another one that says Linkit. So if the student goes on there, then they're locked out of the computer, so they can't access anything. So if you turn browser lockdown mode on, then what would happen is a student who signed into the computer would not be able to get into the test because you can only do it through the app on the Chromebook. So you only want to turn on this feature if you have Chromebooks for every one of your students. If you don't have Chromebooks, or if you have students who need to take the test at home, then you can't really turn on browser lockdown mode because those students won't be able to take it, so you'll just do full screen browser mode. Okay. There are accommodations, so if you want to give a time limit, you want to change the font size or things like that, a line reader, text to speech, you can do that. Then there are tools, so over here is if you want your students to have something like a ruler, a calculator, the eliminate choice tool, okay, so you can read through those tools. And then in other, we have can review test, show test instruction, show incomplete answer warning. One more, I'm just going to scroll back, I forgot. Over here in security and privacy, so in between that full screen browser mode and browser lockdown mode is a very important reminder, override auto graded items. So if you have something where a student could potentially get partial credit for a multiple choice question. So as a math teacher, that happens. There might be an equation. If I see on paper that the student did most of the work correctly and just made one mistake at the end, I might want to give them partial credit. So I need to turn this feature on before I assign the test in order for that to happen. So I have to click on for override later. Then later when you see it, if Linkit gave my student 0 points for a multiple choice, I can go in and switch it to, let's say, 3 out of 5 points or something like that. So once I've chosen whatever I like, preferences I like, I hit set, and now I'm ready to assign the test. Okay, so scrolling back up here to select students, I have to select school, select the term, I select the class, okay, and it'll show me the students so I can double check that everything is correct in terms of, that it matches my roster and everybody's there. And then I can hit assign on the bottom, okay? So now I assign this test, and the big question is, how are my students going to take the test? So if you notice down here, you have an assignment code. So you need to save that assignment code. You actually can access it later, but you may want to write it down right away and just know, okay, I gave first period, this is the assignment code. Second period, this is the assignment code. Because you're going to have to give that to your students when they sign in. So I already started mentioning this in the preferences. There are 2 ways for the student to sign in. So either the student is going to that app on the Chromebook and signing in like that, and they will be prompted for the assignment code. They will put in this assignment code, and then they will choose their name. They will see the list of students who were assigned that test, and they will select their name. Or if you are not on a Chromebook, the student will type in test.linkit.com. So right here we have test.linkit.com. Okay, test.linkit.com. And what the student will see is the same thing that you see if you hit the app on the computer. Right here, enter assignment code. So I would enter that assignment code. So I'm going to do this. I'll copy that code. I'll enter it. And I will see all of the names of the students in this class, okay, and I would select my name and go into the test. Now, since students aren't signing in with their Google account, Um, you might, my suggestion is that you walk around the room and just make sure you see the correct name in the corner of each student's screen. That's really the only way to really verify that every single student is taking their own test. Okay, so that's in terms of how the student is getting into the test. Okay, so just to make sure I'm doing this in the right order, we did teacher login, we did assigned tests, we did test preferences, student login. So now let's look at grading tests. Okay, so same place, online testing. Here we did assign online tests. That was the first tab. The next tab is review or grade online tests. Okay, so at the bottom of the screen, I can see any tests that I've assigned. This is also the other way that you can pull up the code if you didn't save it when you assign the test. You can always go over here and look up the student code again in this tab, review or grade online tests. So for example, if you see this test right here, I gave it on January 24th. There are 25 students who finished, and I can review. While the students are testing, I can see right over here which the names of the students who have not started the test under the not started column, and I can see who's in progress, and then I can see who needs to be reviewed. And then the last column tells me how many students are finished, that I finished grading their test already. So I'm going to click on review for this test. So when I hit review, I can see all of the questions. What's going to pop up right away is all the questions that need to be manually graded. So anything, it needs my input, Here, question 4, you see, is yellow. That's because he got partial credit because I needed to grade for his work. I see his work, so I can add the points down here, and I have to click apply grade, and it'll bring me to the next question, and I can again apply the grade. Okay, and it brings me to the next question. I see that he gets 5 points, and I'm applying the grade. Now I finished grading everything that had to be manually graded. However, on the bottom I see he got 80 out of 85 points, and I would like to see which question he got wrong that wasn't manually graded. So up on top I have the option to deselect manually graded, and now I can just scroll through. I see all the green is the questions that the student got correct. I see that one red. I'll go look at that. I'll maybe look at his paper and see if I can give him partial credit for that. And because I did the override auto-graded preference, when I assign this, I will be able to give him points if I think he deserves partial credit. Okay. Once I've finished, I will submit the test. Okay. So right now, it's showing me all the students that need to be reviewed. If I ever wanted to see here, you know, who else completed it in progress, you see there's a drop down here, and I can filter however I'd like. I can grade by student, or I can grade by item. So I can click item, and then I'll just go through, I'll choose, okay, I would like to grade question 7 right now, and go student by student if I find that to be easier. So that's how it goes with the grading. Once you've submitted all the tests, then you'll be able to get a report. Okay, so I'm going to show you the reporting tab. That's the last thing we'll do. You have a reporting dashboard right here, and I will just briefly show you how you, and I'll choose the most recent test, and I just pull it down, and here's the overall data. So I can see, you know, 84% of my students did very well, 10%, you know, where I can see what they did. So it's kind of just a summary. And then there are options down here. I can see by student. So I can see student results. Okay. So it's taking a while, but I would be able to see the student results if I wanted to copy the scores from here. Here we go, and then I can see a diagnostic, which gives me question by question. So that's really nice. Actually, let's see. I believe a diagnostic might actually be by standard. So based on the standards that were tagged, it'll give me an overview of the class average score for each standard. It's just taking a while to load. I think I need to select the class. That's why. Okay, so here we go. Select the class. And now you can see what percentage of the students, the average percentage for these standards. You can go down. This is only for standards that had 3 questions associated with them. If I go down to 2, I can see more standards. 1, I can see all the standards. If I click on the average standard, I'll actually see per student. I just don't want to pull that up because I feel like I shouldn't be pulling up my students' data publicly, but there's a lot that you can see as you go through, get into the diagnostic and the other kind of reports, which you can pull up with all these little buttons on the bottom. So this is overall how you see it. So I can pull down more and compare and get a nice quick view. And there's loads of more features and things that you can pull up with the data, but that would require a whole training in and of itself. So this is just the basics of where to go.